Good afternoon, dear beloveds. This is White Wolf. I'm going to start off by enacting protocols. Call upon the light, fire dragon, earth and water fire, earth and fire dragon, Quien's pink dragon, golden orange dragon, Ezekiel, my two black dragons, the black dragon from Saturn, the alpha dragon, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Sandalphon, Raphael, Mother Mary, Saint Germain, the Intergalactic Council, the Galactic Federation of Light, grandmother, grandfather, and the tribal women are also in attendance, and so it is. Today is just going to be a message, but the message is we are of the same nature. We are of a creation. We are of a million timelines, a million lifetimes. This is the path of self-remembrance, and you're remembering your true self, the true essence of what God is, and it doesn't matter if you were an alien or an angel or whatever you may be, a pastor, a Buddhist, whatever it may be, you are just source in your own way. And I'm going to use an analogy that we are like the director or the cameraman holding the camera, seeing source in human form, watching ourselves, seeing ourselves within this emphatic journey, seeing the purification take through, seeing the emptying out of your soul, the purification of your soul, the true essence, the God essence, the isness of being, the walk of life, really, the fruits of life, the true nature of what source should be like. But we are all different. We are all unique in our own way. We have an authentic expression. We are the truth. And sometimes we really need to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. And that's why when you see me on my live feed sometimes, you'll see me close my eyes. It's that I'm checking myself. I'm not doubting myself. I'm not discrediting myself. But I'm truly checking myself and seeing the truth in my message, just seeing the intent, the energy behind my message. If the energy is not pure, if the energy is not coming from a place of love, if it's not coming from a place of sincerity, of compassion, of saying what you need to hear instead of what you just want to hear. I'm not pandering to anybody. And generally, a lot of the things that I do say on my live feeds, a lot of the things that I describe, a lot of the things that I do on my live feeds are for me to have times of contemplation, to have times of observation, to have like a moment with myself, and to learn from what I am bestowing upon all of you, to see what I'm teaching to all of you and seek the teacher within, and that not only I am teaching myself something, I'm showing myself something. I'm breaking through something. I'm breaking a barrier in my consciousness. I'm up-leveling my upliftment for ascension. But we are all of the same nature. We are all of the same essence. We are all, it doesn't matter if we put a label on it. It doesn't matter if you put a label on your Ben & Jerry's ice cream and you say that it's Chunky Monkey and you say it's the banana flavored, walnut flavored ice cream. It still doesn't matter because you are still of source. You are still of the same nature of source. You are still of the same creation of source. It doesn't matter if you live this lifetime and you were a farmer. It doesn't matter if you live this timeline and you're a spiritual entity of love and light. It doesn't matter if you had a million lifetimes and you didn't realize your own spiritual nature. You still were another variation of source. You were still of the same nature of source. You were still of the same essence of which source is creating, manifesting, attracting, subtracting, up-leveling. It's still the same thing. It's still of the same nature. It doesn't matter if it was an angel and you got in a car wreck and you were about to die. Let's just say you die because you really don't die. Death doesn't really does us part. So let's just say you're about to get in a car wreck, and as you got in that car wreck, there was angels sent there to prevent you from crashing, to save your life because you were destined for something great. So everybody has a job, everybody has a hierarchy, everybody has a reason for being. And even if when we get done with our spiritual journey, which we never really get done, but let's just say that we really up-leveled, that we really took it serious, that we really reached a certain level of consciousness, and we got to a wholeness, a completeness, or maybe this was our last time here. But when we die, we experience a new beingness. We experience after creation. We experience the absolute reality. So we're experiencing another experience of experiencing. We're experiencing a beingness of our isness, of all that there is, of the container of all things. But when people say that I'm this, I am that, I'm a Reiki master, I'm a life coach, I am this, I am that, that's all well and great, but you're putting a label on source. You're making source describable. You're making source sought out. You're making source obtainable, describable. When source is mysterious, source is ingraspable, source is not answered. You're not going to get all the answers. You don't get all the answers on the journey that is the destination. You just don't get all the answers. Because if you had all the answers, you would go and make a complete decision that would cause a ripple effect within your own reality. There's alternate realities, there's parallel realities, there's a million parallel realities. You've lived on this earth probably a million times. You've had there's a million timelines to mess with. But this is the most sacred timeline because you get to see yourself in a different light. You get to see yourself in a different essence. You get to see yourself how you used to be post-awakening, which post-awakening is a hallucination of your true self. So if it is an hallucination of your true self, then everything that, even if you didn't have the awareness of your true self in all these other lifetimes, you were still another variation of what God created you to be. Rather, it was a bad lifetime because God created everything. God created distortion. God created inspiration. God created happiness. But what the difference is in this lifetime is that you're bringing hope to people. You're bringing light to something. You're bringing happiness. You're bringing compassion. You're bringing true sincerity. In this lifetime, you're up-leveling people, you're helping them, you're inspiring them, you're giving the truth out. And that's why you should check yourself before you wreck yourself, because if you're not going to say what's most true, what's most authentic, what's most emphatic on people's spiritual journey, then there's no reason to do this. There's no reason to go as far as you're going to go. So, we all have a reason to be here. We all have guides. We all have angels on our side. We all have a reason to be here. We all had a reason why we went through the lifetimes that we went through. Because we all tried to do the right thing, and some of us were murderers, some of us were really pieces of work, really, and some of us were really, really good. But there is no good and bad. There is no right or wrong. There's only light and dark. And the first time you get to see the light of yourself. You get to see the angelic side of yourself. And it doesn't matter if you were an ET from the 1200 dimension, because you're still made of God. You still are God. Even if you are a Reiki master, you're still source in human form. You don't have something over somebody. If we keep putting people in a box, if we keep putting people in a category, then what are we doing with the whole collective? We're placing people in a box. We're having people figured out. We're having people just play it safe. We're putting them in a box. And that's why we awaken, so we can get out of that box, so we can change that paradigm, so we can change this reality that we were living and show other people that you don't have to suffer. You don't have to be lacking something. You don't have to believe all these things. And it's a disassociation from how we live life, how we see our partner, how we see even governmental structures. We're seeing what is purified, what is in the light, what is in all of us. We're seeing it clearly for the first time. We're truly seeing with our own eyes. We're seeing what purification is. We see what authenticity is. We're seeing that no matter what you say, if you hurt someone's feelings, if you triggered somebody, if they didn't like you anymore and they had to go a different direction, people are not looking for you to be the alpha and the omega. If you're looking for someone to be the alpha and the omega for you, so that you can be in your ego and your complacency to be the alpha and the omega, then this is the wrong path to take. you're not doing it for the right reasons. You should do it because you want to bless people, because you want to help people have a change in their life to service to others and not to yourself. So people can say that I'm a life coach, I do this, I do that. They're putting a label on source. They're not being the source of all things. They're not being all that there is. They're not being the beingness that they were created to be. Maybe Spirit told them to do that. Maybe Spirit directed them. I don't know. But I still, if I was presented with that question, I would not say that I am this, that I am a healer, that I'm that. I wouldn't take credit for it. I wouldn't take credit for being source. I wouldn't act like I was the Apostle Paul, or I would act like I was Archangel Michael, or I would act like that I am the Alpha and the Omega, because that's not right either. Because I always check myself when I'm giving a message, because if my intent is off the board, if I'm not saying the truth when the truth needs to be spoken, and if I'm not, then I am being vain. He who bridles his tongue, or she bridles their tongue, who claims that they're spiritual, their spirituality is vain. If a person claims that they're religious, then they're being vain. They believe that they are playing God, and I do believe when we are ignorant, or when we're being an idiot, when we don't know about our awareness, about our consciousness, our higher mind's inner knowing, we are trying to play God, we're trying to control things, we're trying to manipulate things, we're trying to seek out pleasure, to seek out lust, to seek out all these things that don't help us within our life. And then when we are shown, when something abrupt really happens and slaps us across the head to kind of open the door of Spirit, or somebody does, or someone comes into our life, because there's a reason for everything. There's a reason for everything. There's a reason why you have these many relationships. There's a reason why you attracted the reality that you did not want to attract. There's a reason why you had this awakening experience. There's a reason to everything. There's nothing by coincidence. There's nothing that there's no luck. But there is hope, there is happiness, there is inspiration. And that's what's wrong with our 3D sense of how we even look at the new age now. I see all these movies, and it's always about how people are deceiving people, deviancy, playing with fire, taking the gift for granted. But the whole human collective takes this for granted and abuses it and does it for all of the wrong reasons. I would never get on here if I felt like this wasn't a message for me, if this wasn't something I had to learn, something that I had to integrate, something I had to heal from, something that I had to do in order to speak my most authentic truth. I wouldn't get on here and like call people out or try to trigger people or try to be... I would try so hard just to say something to piss people off, because that's not the sentiment behind my message. But I will always speak the truth, and I will always speak what is most authentic. I will always put everything on the table and lay my heart on a silver platter, and there you go, and then run with it. Take what resonates and what doesn't resonate, and just be all that you can be. Don't give your imagination to just the imagination of Jesus Christ. Like, don't give your imagination to a teacher. Don't give your imagination to this or to that. But just check yourself for a second. Get quiet for a second. Really dip down. Really dig deep. Really feel into the essence of Source, and realize that you are in the infinite reality right now. This is an infinite reality. That's why we have multiple lifetimes. That's why we have all of these experiences. But we're not experiencing us experiencing something, but we're having the direct experience of experiencing. We may have been a farmer in this lifetime. We may have been this in this alternate reality. Maybe we were this and that and this and that. But God would not make you experience that if it wasn't for your best benefit, if it wasn't something for you to learn from, to integrate from, to maybe clear from. Because God created everything. And if you are the container of all things, if you are all that there is, it doesn't matter, because we're just the actor in a different setting, in a different time period, in a different timeline, in a different reality. But you're like, well, that's just John Wayne. Well, yes, it is John Wayne, but he may be playing a different character. His character might be evil. His character might be compassionate. His character might be heroic. But the essence or the nature of, let's say, John Wayne is the same. He's just another variation of what Source is. He's just another form of creation. He's just another timeline. He's just another beingness. And that's why I always love the before creation and after creation, because it makes sense of everything, that when we die, there is a beingness to be experienced. There's something new to be learned. There's something new to be integrated. And we focus too heavily on this lifetime, on this journey, on this plane. We take it so seriously. We take our sense perceptions, our feelings, our emotions, our assumptions, our belief of things, our own false narratives of beliefs even. We feel like it's so real, but it's an illusion. We've played within this illusion a bunch. We've also played in different realms, in different planes, in different universes, and there's also like 12 aspects of us that are on the same journey of ourselves, that are experiencing a different beingness, a different creation, a different manifestation. But there's people here who have even walked into buildings and did not see a statue, and then when they walked out of said building and saw the statue manifest right in front of their naked eye, they didn't necessarily see it, but it happened. Just because something is not right here does not mean that it's not real. Does not mean that it shouldn't be taken lightly. Because I've had experiences, supernatural experiences, and all the things in the Bible where they had a cape on and they went faster than a chariot, or the woman who had the baby and had the baby almost her entire lifetime, and then he was born, and then somehow he died, and then she just got on a horse and went to a prophet of the Lord. But she was calm and collected and had an all is well attitude. But if she focused on the pain, if she focused on the thing happening, she wouldn't have went and got him healed, and he wouldn't have been resurrected from the dead. And that's sort of what happens when we awaken. We're sort of being resurrected. We have a rebirth. We have a metaphysical baptism, and along the way we have metaphysical, like, crucibles. Because we have to have that in order to find our destiny, to fine-tune our skills, to fine-tune who we are as this spiritual being. So it doesn't matter what we are or how we're doing it or what we are made of, but we all are made of the same nature, the same essence, the same. It's just Source. It's Source in His creation. It's Source in their most unique, authentic expression. It's Source in their manifestation. It's Source. Everything is Source. And if we can't see God to God, if we can't see God in all things, and if we can't see through the illusion, the only limitation to God is to see it within itself and to see it within all things. So if we can't do that, then how is the world going to change? Not that we want to make the world change, but we want to make the world a better place. We want the world to be conscious. And we are not just this body. If we are just our higher mind, and I almost want to change my governmental name to White Wolf, because that's what I identify myself with. That's what I identify myself with, because this human being that was living this illusion was living in a hallucination of its true being, of its true self. So what is self? And what is authenticity? What is creation? What is true beingness? What is that? We don't always know. We don't know what to say. We don't know how it's going to come off. But when we speak truth, it's a singular truth. It's not just us saying our opinion. It's not us saying our opinion, because if it was us saying our opinion, then we would just say whatever, and it wouldn't be truth, and everything that we would be doing would be like reckless and pointless, and there would be no reason to why we said things, instead of saying things with the belt of truth and the breastplate of source and the helm and the sword of spirit. And then we're able to cut through those illusions, those misperceptions, those things that do not give us peace, hope, joy, inspiration. And it's like, I'm not saying you can't get a lot of inspiration from hitting rock bottom, for having negative experiences. But those negative experiences don't have anything to do with you. This illusion has nothing to do with your true state of being. We just give it a lot of meaning. We just give it too much meaning. So, where are we focusing our energy? Where are we focusing our mastery? It's all about the perspective that you have of it. It's truly all about perspective. It's like this person can have a mental disorder, but it does not mean they can compose music like Mozart. It doesn't mean that you put a label on them just because they can't have a social interaction. But if someone took the time and the care and the appreciation that he was created for something that you were not created for, and you were created for something that he was not created for. It's your own unique, authentic expression, but you both are still of the same essence of source. You still are the same thing. It doesn't matter if this is protein water. It's still water. It may have caffeine. It may have blue raspberry in the water itself. It may have protein in it as well. But that does not excuse the fact that it is water. It's still water. It's just infused with something. So we can all move things with our minds. We can all time travel or be at a place simultaneously. And in meditation even, we can do all of those things. And some people in the 3D can actually move stuff with their mind. They can actually bend a spoon. They can actually levitate. But it does not mean just because they're doing something different from what you're doing does not mean that they are not source in their own way. We all want to be our own individual. We all want to be source in human form. We all want to be this or that. But we just need to say to ourselves that we are just the I am. We are just the I am presence. And that's the only thing that we take with us when we die, is truly the I am presence of source, the beingness of source, the evolution of your consciousness. But why do we give our power to such things as lack, despair? In times of healing, you need to own up to your shit. But do you think that I would come on here and say a bunch of things if I didn't have to really own up to my shit? That's why I really check myself when I'm saying something. If I feel the light, if I feel the purity, if I feel the truth that is in it, no matter what I said, if something triggered you, if something upset you, or it was how I was saying it, and you just disregarded that and didn't see that the belt of truth is the singular truth, and it may not be true for you, but that does not mean that it's not true for me. We have to see through illusions. We have to see through all of the illusions, all of these. We have to disassociate from being the human being. But there's a human being that shines forth when you disassociate from that. There's a new essence about you. There's a new creation about you. There's a new clarity, an angelic self that shines forth, and that you want to see the goodness. You don't, and it's like MorningStar asked me something about like her eye, and it was kind of red, and I said that I don't focus on your flaws, I focus on your victories. That's what we're trying to do within this human experience. We focus too heavily on the beast instead of the beauty within the beast. If we just saw the beauty within the beast would melt away. And then there would be a clandestine, fiery, alive essence of source that would shine through. There would be just a crazy, awesome isness that would shine through. Because I truly believe that 99.9% of people are good. They have goodness within them. They have transcendence within them. But it's always the 1% that they're not willing to look at. It's the 1% that brings them down. It's the 1% that gets them into a constricted state. And I can say in my path that I had someone mirror back to me as the teacher, to seek the teacher within. Because if you're in a negative state, in a constricted state, you're going to, empty out your garbage, your personal vomit on that person. And that's not right either. But when you are truly embracing the divine plan, when you're embracing the free will, when you are just free to do what you want and you realize that nothing is stopping you, if you just lived like a ruthless mafia person, and I'm just using this as an example, if you're just roaming around like a ruthless, powerful mafia person and you had disregard to everything that would go wrong, you would just accede to your destiny. But it's the fear of doing this and it might do that. I'm not saying make an evil, awful decision to make a ripple effect in your reality, but I'm just saying if we just went with it, if we just had faith, if we just had confidence, if we just were so happy to do that, and we just went for it, and we didn't have any self-judgment towards it, and we just went out and we did it, and we believed in ourselves. And if you don't believe in anything, believe in yourself. Believe in the self. Believe in your authenticity. Believe in what you are saying. And that no matter what you are saying, someone is going to resonate with it. And as it's resonating, the word's going to get around. And as the word is getting around, then you're just planting seeds of greatness all around. You're just planting, and then going to the next seed, and going to this, and going to that, and just... There's a group of people that you are inspiring, but don't put them in a box. We got to stop putting labels on ourselves. We got to stop putting labels on source, because then we're just perpetuating our own ego. We're perpetuating our own complacency. We're like, oh, I do this and I do that so that I have more of an opportunity to speak into people's lives, because I have this label, I have this certification that clarifies that I can do this better than somebody, which is not the case. With true power comes true responsibility. And there has to be a stance. There has to be a purification within your stance. There has to be a purity about you. There has to be something tangible about you that just shows people can see the energy of what you are saying. I can watch a person for 2 minutes and I can see what their intent is, how they want to do this, and it can be yucky in a sense, but maybe... I'm not saying that the spiritual journey is not flawless. I'm not saying that there's no challenge. I'm not saying there's no trials and tribulation and lessons to be learned so that you get to this point. in your spiritual journey, the overview of the spiritual journey. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I feel like we want to get to the destination right away instead of embracing the journey and embracing the feeling of bliss. The fact that you got a taste, you got a slice of bliss, you got a slice of the supernatural, miraculous things that God has to offer. Sometimes that is more well worth it than hosting retreats, being worldwide, being all this and that. The beautiful thing is that you tapped into bliss. You tapped into happiness. You forgave yourself. You had a self-realization, which made you want to act on the things that brought you joy, abundance, riches of life, favor. That, to me, is well worth it. When you forgave yourself, when you had crucibles, when you had moments of tears, of weeping on your, falling on your sword, and emptied out something that was bringing you down, I feel like that's well worth it than just making it. Or I think we put too much pressure on ourselves to make it, or to emulate what some of these people do, which I think what I did in the beginning of my journey. I was too focused on making it big, on doing stuff like this person, but you can take brilliance from so many people for so long. You can take brilliance from people for so long, but if you don't encompass the brilliance within your innermost being, then it seems rather pointless to try to make it, because it has to be you. It has to be authentic. It has to be raw. It has to be the source of all things. It's got to be you. It's got to be the essence of source itself. And you are just another variation of the prophets. You are another variation of God. I'm not saying that you can't be like Jesus. You can't emulate from Jesus, but you're not Jesus. And Jesus might be you, and White Wolf might be you, but you got to see the brilliance in the teacher and the alchemist within you, and you got to see the magic within your innermost being. I'm not saying not learn from people. I'm not saying not learn from great men and women. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying the greatest learning experiences was learning my own tough lessons, was doing my own inner work, was empowering myself, waking up in the morning, starting the intention of the day, starting thinking about creating something, thinking about going live, thinking about touching somebody's heart, thinking about how I can bless someone today. That's more enjoyable than feeling like you haven't made it or you haven't struck gold. And I will be honest with you that I have said those things. I have said those things about myself, and like, why haven't I made it yet? Why haven't I done this? Why? But it's not about why. It's about the question. It's not always about the answer. That's what we get this whole thing misconstrued, is that we feel like we need to have the answers. We feel like we need to have the brilliance. We need to do this. We need to do that. We haven't done this. We haven't done that. Don't focus too much on your flaws. You can find a lot of clarity from hitting rock bottom, from falling on your sword, from losing. But it's how you get back up is the most important thing. It's how you snap back in. Even if you had to really face your afflicted state, understand yourself, accept yourself, forgive yourself, and start loving yourself, and put blessings over your life, declarations over your life, so you can snap yourself back into alignment. It's like you messing up really big. We never really mess up. There's always a lesson to be learned. There's always a reason why you're watching the movie. There's always a reason why you picked that movie. Even though you didn't like the movie or the sentiment behind the movie, but there's always a lesson to be gauged. Maybe you had a bad day and you were really, really testy. And I'm saying this from my own experience. Maybe you were really, really testy one day, and that's something you had to look at. So look at it, feel it, drop it, leave it, and let it go and give everything back to Source. And as you give everything back to God and just let it go and realize that I am my own authentic expression, another variation of Source, quite like the movie. It's a different setting, it's a different timeline, it's a different lifetime, it's a different reality altogether. But it does not matter because I was meant to live everything that I was meant to see in this experience that I'm having. All of the mistakes you made, all of the things that you've done, rather they were good or bad, rather that you were married 4 times and you had children and you were meant to experience that. But just be happy with what your journey represented to you. Don't try to mimic someone else's journey. Because the destination is not the journey. The journey is the destination. But what's beautiful is not getting to a destination. This whole thing is infinite. This whole thing is a living testament of your true innermost being. So your whole life is like a Bible. Your whole life is a living testament to Source in human form, from God to God, from how you perceived this moment, how happy you were. But the only thing you take with you is the I am presence. And then after this is done, before creation, right now it's before creation. And then after creation, you go to the absolute reality, or you go to another place and you experience a whole different beingness. So we put too much pressure on this beingness because we have an awareness of it. But then we have an awareness of all of the beingness that we've ever have accumulated. And you're like, fuck. So I am experiencing all of this simultaneously. I am experiencing the timelines, the different realities, the different manifestations, the destruction, the creation, the distortion, the elevation, all inside of one. And then there's 12 aspects of you that are experiencing a spiritual journey itself. But we always make it so negative, our journey. We always like, why haven't I done this? And I've done this. I'm saying this purely from my own experience. Why are we so hard on ourselves? Why do we whip ourselves in the back because we haven't done enough? But create in the space that you have. And if you can't be happy with what's right here, right now, in the present, the past and the future is really irrelevant. It really is. That's what I've discovered in my journey. The path is living in the relevancy of the now. Not living in the relevancy of the future because you're going to try to control it. And if you keep looking back, you're never going to see what's right in front of you. Because what's right here, right in front of you, this beautiful masterpiece of Source in the form of the human being watching himself through the lens of the camera in a different time, in a different setting, in a different journey. But I believe that you make the most of it. It's like you're a wrestler. I believe it's as real as you make it to be. No matter if people think that you're kind of loony because you've become more spiritually evolved. I believe it's as real as you make it. I believe it's as supernatural as you make it. I believe it's as magical as you make it. But you got to make it magical. You have to be the magic within. We have to see our own magic. We have to see our own beingness. We have to see the beauty in all things, even the beauty in the person that does not even see the beauty in themselves. Because there's still beauty there. They might be beast-like, but there's always beauty within the beast. But just show the beauty in as many people as you can, and bless as many people as you can. Because it's in giving that we receive. It's in the inspiration in ourselves, and it's the courage of authenticity to speak the truth when this truth is meant to be spoken. And we don't do this for ourselves, and a lot of my live feeds are for me to learn from what I'm describing to you right now. But just always remain teachable, always remain learning, always remain seeking, always be an intense seeker in the search of your truth. And that really is the beauty of all of this. It's not about making it, it's not about making $1 million, it's not about doing this or that. It's not about that. It's just about the journey itself. It's just about the meditator seeking within his or herself. It's just the journey within that is so beautiful, that is so transcendent, that allows you to breathe. No matter what is reflecting in the 3D, you don't attribute that to you. It's a really strange journey. It's strange, all of this. It's weird. You don't get it. But I do know this one thing, and I'm going to end with this. That I know that I don't know. But I do know a lot of things, but I don't know everything. And I only will know everything that I'm supposed to know when it's the moment that I'm supposed to know it. And that I'm supposed to bestow it, that I'm supposed to pass the baton to you to let the fire permeate and radiate within you. The light that resonates in you. The aliveness, the purification, the excitement, the aliveness, the amped up version of you. So I know that I don't know. But I do know that I don't know everything. I just know what I know at this moment, what's relevant, and what's meant to be spoken. But that's the beauty, is that you never get complete. It's like a video game that you never completed, because you beat it so many times, and you just have to adapt to your environment. It's all about adapting. It's an adaptation. You have to keep adapting. You have to keep changing. You have to keep growing, keep seeking, keep elevating, keep growing. And don't stop. Don't stop for anybody. Don't stop at all. Just keep going. Keep trucking. Keep fighting. The spiritual journey is something worth to take serious, but weird things are going to happen in a fun way, and you should treat it like it's a gift. Treat it like it's something sacred, but have fun along the way and enjoy your life and feel infinitely supported and infinitely loved along the way. If I did not have the spiritual journey, and if I was not this vessel of love and light, if I didn't emulate everything that my higher self was wanting to emulate through me, and if I did not have the grace of God, if I didn't realize that I was blessed, if I didn't realize that I had some intelligence that I was suppressing, then I feel that my journey would have been pointless. But I felt for so long that I wasn't intelligent, I wasn't special, that I wasn't important. And some of you right now, and I'm not making an assumption, I'm just saying that you spent a lot of time feeling unworthy. And that's why I wanted to become a healer, but I don't take credit for the healing. I'm only the vessel. I am God in human form, but I am only allowed the power that I'm allowed to offer to the world. As much power as they give me, as much responsibility that they give me. And just always be humble. Always show a lot of humility, and don't have an air about you. Ever. It's not graceful. And self-pity is not graceful. So there has to be a perfect balance of this quiet confidence. This quiet confidence that shines forth. It's a subtlety. It's a subtleness. It's not noisy. It's not all over the place. It's just pure awareness, spacious awareness, pure beingness. It's what enlightenment is all about. It's not trying to get there all in one day. Because Rome wasn't built in a day, and even the whole creation was not built in a day. But if you don't take anything that I say, just remember this one thing. That it is a choice to live out whatever you want to live out. It's a choice. It's a cause. It's an effect. It's a decision. You can make the decision to want to breathe life, or you can make the decision to breathe death. And I know I'm using this in the form of an analogy, but that's really the two things. You're either light or you're either dark. You either breathe life or you breathe death. And this is going to trigger a lot of people, but just always try to find a reason to live. Always try to find a reason to be who you are. And say whatever you say you are. Declare whatever you say you are. And just be all that you can be. And be the essence of what Source wants to see run through you. And that is really all that matters in the end. But I love you. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will be doing my live feeds a little different. I will have messages that want to come forth, and then I will have some healings that will come forth as well. So I'm going to be doing it a bit differently now. So I'm just letting you guys know that. So without further ado, make an appointment with me in MorningStar. Go to our TikTok, MorningStar I Am Movement, bitchute, MorningStar I Am Movement, Divine Ray. Like the I Am Movement, like it, love it, get some more of it. And you all have a blessed day. Please share out to all the groups, and please make an appointment with me in MorningStar. I hope that you all were blessed by this message. I hope you were inspired by it. I hope it really helped you get through something. And I hope that I keep you encouraged, and that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and you are that light. Goodbye.